Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Savannah, and in today's video I'm going to tell you the real reasons why I didn't re-enlist and why I didn't choose to have the Army as a lifetime career. Before we get started, please do not forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment down in the description box on if you're in the military or if you didn't re-enlist, and if so, I want to know why. Maybe the reasons are the same as me. Okay, so surprisingly, I've actually been getting asked this question a lot by people who don't personally know me, who watch my videos, and they always ask me, why didn't you re-enlist? The Army seems so cool, like all the pictures you posted and all the videos you posted look so cool and fun, like why didn't you re-enlist? Well, so you know what? This is gonna be a doozy, so I'm just gonna. Okay, so the first reason being why I didn't re-enlist, and this is not, like, I don't think any of these reasons weigh more than the other. They're all kind of equal reasons for why I didn't re-enlist, but the first one that I'm going to bring up is my lack in trust in my leadership and the incompetency that I had in my leadership. And this video is by no means to, like, you know, talk shit about or talk down on anybody, but I truly didn't trust any of my leadership, and this sounds really bad, but this is actually one of the reasons why I chose not to deploy with this unit, is because even though you think like, oh, it's the 82nd, they're all trained and blah blah blah, like, not for my unit. This was just kind of like the last straw to me because of how it went. So right before I got out of the military, my unit was training to go on a deployment to Afghanistan. So we were doing a brigade-wide exercise, and my specific unit had, you know, brigade exercises are where you prove, you know, you validate yourself. You validate your unit, you prove that you know what you're doing, that you know, like, how to do it, and, you know, whatever. So I technically was not supposed to be a part of this exercise because I would technically be an outlier when it came to the statistics of my unit's proficiency. I was getting out of the military, which means that I was not going to be deploying with this unit. So any of the work that I did for this unit, to help them, I guess, validate themselves, wouldn't be useful because I wouldn't be going downrange with them. So they decided to, instead of let me complete my Soldier for Life transition program, which is this program that helps you transition properly back into the civilian world, instead of having me complete that, so you have 18 months to do this, and I was already in the 6-month window. So once you're in a 6-month window of getting out, you have to, like, by Congress, by regulation, you have to do it. If you're in that 6-month before you get out window, you are untouchable. You have to go do that stuff. So for some reason, I was still told that I can't complete this training and that I have to go on this brigade training exercise, or the validation exercise. So I went. There's a specific way that you have to turn on and turn off these vehicles, and everyone knew how to do it. Everyone had to know how to do it, actually. I'm just going to caveat that. Everyone had to know how to do it. They were supposed to know how to do it. So one night, you know, we did night shift, day and night shift, so half of us were on day shift, half of us were on night shift. I was on night shift, and I had just gotten off and just was, you know, I was already back in, you know, where we were sleeping. I was getting ready to fall asleep, and I was like teetering about to be asleep, and I got woken up, and they said, hey Dunning, you're gonna have to come back to the tent and turn off the vehicle because none of us know how to do it. Mind you, my Chief Warrant Officer 2, which is a very high rank, who is a subject matter expert in everything that there is to be a subject matter expert in for signals intelligence analytics. So that's like a base level, like a private should know how to do that, is turn on and off a vehicle. So apparently he didn't know how to do it. And I was very frustrated because I just, the day before, had given a class on how to do it. And by the end of it, I watched all of the other people turn on and turn off the vehicles and the systems and everything, and they could do it. So I was confused as to why I was being woken up and told that I had to go turn off this vehicle. So I was like, okay, you know what, whatever. I'm just going to take this as a compliment and take pride that I know how to do it. And I'm going to go over there and I'm just going to turn it off, come back to sleep, whatever. So I get to the tent that our vehicle is right next to, and, you know, I walked over there, because it's nighttime, I walked over there in, you know, I got in the proper uniform, I was in pajamas, like, my PTs, so I had to put on my OCPs, go over there with my, with my weapon. I go over there, and as soon as I get there, I said, hey, like, I'm here to turn off the vehicle, I just want to make sure, like, I asked a couple questions that you need to ask before you turn something off, and they said, oh, yeah, like, you could turn it off, but you're gonna have to, put on full battle rattle, which is, like, full kit. Like, you have to put on, essentially, you have to put your bulletproof vest on, and then you have to put your flick, which is, like, all of your other equipment. It's, like, a taps, or, I don't know how to explain this to a civilian. You put your bulletproof vest on, and then you put something over it that has, like, your magazines, your, you know, grenades or whatever, if that's what you have, whatever. So it's, like, a bunch of stuff for that. So you had to put that on, you had to have your weapon, you had to have your helmet on, and yada yada, because apparently we were getting shot at, like, in the simulation of the exercise. So, or we were, like, fire was near us or something like that. So we were, like, having to put this on. So I was already over there. So I said, okay, well, can I use somebody's gear so I can just go out there and turn it off? Or can I just go out there and turn it off because I'm technically not in play right now? Like, I'm not on shift right now. And they're like, no, you have to go back and put it on. I was like, okay, so instead of just letting me turn this off right now, you want me to walk all the way back to where I just came from with no full battle rattle, just to put full battle rattle on to come back to turn this thing off. Wouldn't it make more sense to any logical thinking human being to just let me turn it off because I'm not in play and then just go back to bed, rather than, like, walking all the way back to where I just came from, which was like a half mile, in no gear, to possibly get yelled at by other, like, people who are overseers of the game or the field exercise, to be like, hey, like, why don't you have this stuff on? And I can't just be like, I'm not in play. Like, so that was just very frustrating. So I remember I threw a little bit of pettiness in the end of this. I went back, put my stuff on, went back again, turned the vehicle off, and I came back inside and I said, hey, Chief, why didn't you turn off the vehicle? And he was like, well, because I needed a soldier to do it. And I was like, okay, so why didn't you have any of the soldiers or the NCOs that you have here do it? They're like, well, because they don't know how. And I was like, okay, well, I gave them a class yesterday, so don't you think instead of, like, waking someone up who already knows how to do it, who's not going on deployment with you, you should teach them yourself how to do it and then have them do it rather than waking me up? Because, like, I'm not going down range with you guys. I can't tell you how to turn off a vehicle from the United States when you're in Afghanistan. I can't tell you how to, like, I can't hold your hand and walk you through this when I'm not around. What are you guys going to do when I'm not around? Like, why are your NCOs not competent enough to know their job? Like, it's stuff like that that really just rubbed me the wrong way. It was very unprofessional and very just stupid. It was just really stupid. So that's the first reason that I'm going to mention of why I didn't re-enlist. So the second reason, which was also, it played a huge factor of why I didn't re-enlist, was feeling like a number. The Army is a machine, first of all. It's going to keep running with or without you. So that's, you know, sometimes people get really good leadership. I feel like I just got a shitty, you know, deck dealt to me, a shitty hand dealt to me, when it came to my first unit, and I didn't want to risk re-enlisting or staying in the military to possibly get dealt the same hand that I got with my first unit, to possibly get the same leadership or get the same type of people or quality of leadership that I had in my first unit, because it wasn't good. So I didn't want to play my cards and lose. So I folded. God, I'm so stupid. I'm just gonna. So, yeah, I didn't want to feel like a number. Anytime I got hurt, anytime I forgot how to do something, like, just anytime I got hurt, no one cared. Like, they were like, that's why there's so many jokes about, like, military healthcare. They're like, oh, you got free healthcare, join the military. Well, if you want to call it healthcare, it's like, I have a broken wrist, and they're like, oh, well, just like drink some water and here's some ibuprofen. Walk it off. So I didn't like that. And I also didn't like feeling like a number because the fact that when I first got, okay, so fast forward, when I first got to my unit in 2016, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I was a very good soldier. I was motivated. I was like a fresh new wide-eyed private, like ready to do anything, ready to learn my job better, ready to, just kill it at PT. I was very good at PT. I was very good at my job, and I always like asked for classes. I always asked for extra duties. I always asked, what can I do to help, or how can I help? And then I want to say I was there for about 5 or 6 months, and it was right around the time of my block leave, so I was supposed to be going home for Christmas. Well, one morning on my way to PT, I got into a very, very bad car accident. And mind you, I wasn't really like great friends with anybody at the unit yet, but they didn't realize the severity of my car accident. If I wasn't in my Jeep Liberty at the time that was so high off the ground as opposed to this Honda Civic that hit me, I probably would have been a lot more severely hurt than I was. I was driving down the road, and I was going through a green light, and I got T-boned in an intersection by somebody who was going 55 miles per hour trying to make a left turn. So it was like very severe. I'm surprised this dude didn't get way more hurt than he was, and I'm surprised that his car didn't like flip over or anything, but I remember the front end of my car got hit. I had my airbags went off. I started spinning out of control. I spun into the other side of oncoming traffic, over like into the grass of the other side of the road, over a median, like over the curb on the other side, into the woods, head first, collision into a tree. My windshield was cracked. My airbags went off. I had like just very severe issues. I had airbag burn on my face. I had seatbelt burn on my chest. I had a sprained wrist because I drive like this. So like when my airbag came out, it like popped my wrist. So I had a sprained wrist. I had 2 bulging discs in my back, 2 herniated discs, I want to say, if that's the right word, in my neck, and my hips were, I don't want to say fractured, but they were messed up from how tight my seatbelt, because like when you get hit, like your seatbelt locks up so you're not like flying around in your car. And like side of my head was like bleeding a little bit. I hit the side of my window. I got knocked out like very momentarily. I woke up and I thought my car was on fire or something. I had a really bad concussion, so like when the paramedics finally got there and everything, they were like, "Can you tell us your name and your address?" And I was like, "I know my name's Savannah, but I don't know where I live." Like I couldn't even tell them my phone number and my address. So it was pretty bad. But so I was on a limited duty profile for about 6 months while I recovered, and they like put me in physical therapy and stuff. And during those 6 months, I pretty much got treated like shit because 1, I was new, and 2, I was broken, or like I couldn't do my job. And while I could still do my job strategically, I couldn't do it physically. I went to profile PT with my unit or whatever, where I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, profile PT, like what a piece of shit." Like for those people who fake being hurt, yeah, like that's pretty shitty. But I wasn't that person. I was very, very motivated to do my job, and I didn't, I felt like, oh, I'm letting everybody down, blah, blah, blah. But because of how I got treated during those 6 months, like, I got very unmotivated, and I, at that point, started having some really creepy things happen to me. I started getting sexually harassed in my unit by multiple people, so I started getting, depressed because I didn't want to tell anybody, because I didn't want to ruin anybody's career, because I was, like, naive, and I was young, and I had just gone through a divorce. One of my aunts just got diagnosed with breast cancer. There was my grandma had just died in airborne school right before I got to the unit. Like, so there was a lot of stuff that I was going through at the time. So I was like, just trying to go to work and keep a happy face on, and not be the Debbie Downer in the unit. And I think I did a pretty good job with that. But like with all of that, plus being in a new place, away from your family, away from your friends, alone now because I got divorced, so I was alone. I didn't have that many friends in my unit yet. I was new, and I was on profile, so I was getting treated like shit. All of that stuff started to weigh heavily on me, and I went through a little stint of depression, and I just started getting very unmotivated, and that unmotivated feeling lingered for a very long time, even after I came off a profile. And then I want to say about a year into me being in the unit, after all of that, we did training exercises together. a lot of things started looking up. You know, I got more training on my job. I got better at PT again. I mentioned sexual harassment. That's another huge factor in why I didn't re-enlist, is because my unit specifically didn't take sexual harassment or sexual assault seriously. And if you haven't watched my other video, I'll leave it in the description box about what happened really with my sexual harassment case. But it pretty much, I got sexually harassed and sexually assaulted for over a year. And once I finally reported it, nothing was done about it for over another year. So something was eventually done about it, but I didn't want to, you know, teeter-totter with the thought of, well, what if I go to this unit and, you know, they don't, you know, something, God forbid, something like that happens to me again, like worse maybe, and nobody takes it seriously or nobody believes me, or, you know, just because this person was such a good soldier, you know, they're, you know, not going to believe me or not take me seriously. So that was something that weighed heavily on me when making my decision of if I wanted to re-enlist or not. And the last one, which pretty much includes everything that I just spoke about, was I didn't want to risk the fact of my second experience in a second unit being anywhere close to the same as my first. You know, a lot of people before I joined the military were like, oh, you know, Fort Bragg is a career killer. You're going to go there and you're not going to re-enlist. And I wanted to be a lifer. I wanted to, as soon as I like joined the military, I was like, yep, I'm going to stay for 20 years and, you know, I'm going to stay for 20 years and retire with the military, but that definitely was not the case. I was planning on my transition back to the civilian world, I want to say maybe a year and a half after I got to my first unit. So I was about 2 years out from even being able to be out, and I was already longing to just being out. Like, I just wanted to be a civilian again. I wanted to be not in the military and so far away from my unit that I didn't have to remember anybody that I was with that I didn't like, and I just wanted to be very, very far away and just like have it as a, you know, faint memory in the back of my head. So essentially those, I mean, there was, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of other reasons on why I decided not to re-enlist or decided not to, you know, like keep the Army as my career. And a lot of people have asked me, like, why don't you do signals intelligence analytic work or anything like that after the military? Like, if you're so good at it, why did you do it? Because honestly, being at that unit and being in that, you know, mindset of doing that, yes, I was very good at it and I was very proficient in doing everything that it took to successfully complete my job, but I did it so often and had to do it not only for myself but for other people, teach it to other people, and just do it so much that it got so overdrawn and so overplayed that and forced on me that I didn't want to see a lick of intelligence afterwards, like after I got out of the military. So being in the military, being a signals intelligence analyst my unit made me hate my job. I thought it was really fun and really cool at first, and then just doing it so much to the way that my unit wanted me to do it, it forced me to not like it anymore. So when I got out of the military, I did not want to do it anymore. So honestly, I'm just going to read this thing that I wrote because I feel like this is a really good all-encompassing reason for why I didn't re-enlist, and it piggybacks kind of off of everything, but this is what I said. So okay, so this might be a little long-winded, but a few people more recently have been telling me that they think I have changed, and I have. This might sound stupid or lame, but the military has changed me, in some ways good and others bad, but honestly, mostly bad. I'm bitter, I'm rude, I don't really have much empathy anymore, I'm closed-minded, I'm overzealously stubborn, and I'm jaded. I was around an entirely toxic amount of awful people for 4 years straight. Every single day I would walk into work, and for 16 to 20 hours, sometimes 24 to 36 hours, and sometimes even weeks or months on end straight, such as if I was in the field, I was with toxic, mean, awful people all day long. Everyone just bounced all of this dark energy off of each other, all of this horrible negativity off of each other all day long, and it just wasn't healthy. I was sexually harassed, I was sexually assaulted, I got a divorce, I was treated badly because I was a woman, treated badly for a stint of 9 straight months because I was hurt after a car accident and couldn't run fast anymore while I healed, I was talked shit to, I was hazed, made fun of, treated all in all just bad for a very long time, and isolated, all while alone, away from my family, away from my friends, with not that many friends at the unit either because I felt so off there. I even became an alcoholic for about a year before I realized that it was all on me to change. it was my job to control my life and walk into work every single day trying my best, being in control of my day and my emotions, and being in control of how I was treated. And once I did that, things started looking up. I got better at PT again. I healed. I got into better shape. I stopped drinking so much. I made friends. I got promoted, got my P status early, shortly after. I got awards, etc. Right before I left, I started to feel happy. I was seeing the sunshine at the end of the 4-year-long tunnel that I was walking through. I've really been trying to be a better person lately and look at the bright side of everything, taking everything one day at a time, taking everything as it is, and trying to reach my goals. I'm trying to keep a positive mindset about all of it, but sometimes I do have setbacks. I'm human, I have feelings, I mess up, and that's okay. It's normal and it's healthy. All I know is that I am trying my best some days and just plain trying on others, but that's all that matters, is that I'm still trying. So if you made it this far, congratulations and thank you for reading. I hope this explains me to you a little bit better, and I hope that it gave you a little bit of motivation to do better yourself. If I can do it, you can do it too, so be a work in progress. So pretty much to reflect on that, the military just changed me into a person just because of the way that I was being treated. I was letting all the negativity get into me, and I started to reflect that negativity back onto everybody else like everybody else was doing. There was plenty of times where people would just joke around about being like, oh, this sucks, I want to kill myself. And honestly, after a while, you realize that sometimes, like, people will start to think like that. It sucks. Everybody will get a negative mindset. Everyone will start to make these dark jokes, and they're not funny and they're not okay. So, the way that I was being treated and the way, like, started getting into me, and I started treating other people the same exact way, treat people the way you want to be treated. Well, I started just treating people the way I was treated, and that wasn't good. That wasn't healthy. And, I started realizing that I don't want to be this negative person. I don't want to be this, angry person all the time. I would wake up every morning and just be pissed that I had to walk into work to see the faces of all these shitty people that I didn't like. I was angry that I, was bind to a contract legally to be in this unit, to have to be there, to have to be accounted for, to have to see these people, to have to do what they tell me to do all day, every day in such a toxic environment that it started to get to me. It made me depressed. Like I said, I turned into an alcoholic for a really long time, and it just sucked. So I finally realized, I got to the point where I was so fed up with it. I was like, I am so sick of feeling like this. I am so sick of feeling depressed and angry and negative. I just don't want to do it anymore. So I made the change. I started treating people the way I wanted to be treated. I started making a change, trying harder, doing different things, and it started to work. So while the military did change me for the worse in some aspects and the better for others, it mostly changed me in, the bad aspects. But I had to make the conscious decision myself to change myself back into the person that I used to be, because, people were bringing it up to me like, oh, Savannah, you've changed. It's like, you used to be this happy, bubbly person and you're not like that anymore. Like, well, yeah, the 82nd sucked my soul. And, I didn't have a hard job. The military is like a hard job, but in my aspect, that's another thing. The military is a pissing contest. So, like, the infantry is always going to call me a pogue and say that my job wasn't hard. But, like, I could say the same thing of, like, other people in the intelligence community. So, like, there's always going to be rivalry and friendly competition. But sometimes that friendly competition literally just turns into a pissing contest where people are like, well, I had it worse, so you didn't have it that bad. Or, like, I did this, so, like, whatever conditions you did that in aren't as bad. Everybody is their own person. So I thought that my job sucked, and a lot of other people did too. But yes, it could have been worse. However, for me and my personal experience, it sucked. So, and I let it get to me, which I shouldn't have done, but I did. And, I'm learning from it. I'm still constantly trying to change and fix all of the damage that I was left with. Personality-wise, it kind of just turned me into a shitty person. It, like, took away my personality and sucked my soul to be, like, some negative, angry Grinch person. So, like, I don't want to be a Scrooge. I don't want to be angry. So I had to make that change in myself, and I had to realize it and fix it, which I did, and I'm still doing. So I'm still a work in progress. I'm still, to this day, working on, just creating a better life and getting my personality back and just, like, being a happy person again. So that is one of the reasons why I left, because I didn't want to risk having all of that negativity brought with me that I was just, like, holding up and bottling up and being brought to another unit, or having all that negativity and it just being repeated at another unit where, like, I was working with shitty people and then going to another unit being like, oh my god, I'm so happy I'm finally out of that negative place, and then just walking right into another negative place. So I didn't want to do that, and plus I really just wanted to follow my dreams to be in the medical field as a doctor, as a surgeon. So I didn't want to do that in the military. So I took, I got out. I'm a civilian now. I'm in school and I'm following what I want to do, trying to make myself a better person and trying to focus on the positivity of everything and just follow my dreams and everything. So I hope that this video made sense to everybody. I actually had to add this little piece in at the end. So as always, give this video a like, leave a comment down in the description box, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks.